Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're going to take a look at how legislation might help other states make money. With us, take a look at this Politico article. It's Katrina Kogowski, angel investor and attorney. Thanks for being back on the Talking Hedge.
Thanks, Josh.
So we all know Idaho is probably going to be the last state in the U.S. to do anything with cannabis or hemp, which provides some opportunities. So apparently there's a little spot in Ontario in the U.S. that's benefiting from that. And so this little Oregon town known for its tater tots is making some decent money as people cross the border. Nothing new. We've kind of seen that in Washington State from Portland coming over from the south, or even people in Idaho coming in from the east. People are going to be doing it, especially with Texas, going west to try and find some cannabis, maybe in Arizona or wherever they can find it. Nothing new here, but let's run this down and see what it means for the Eastern Oregon economy.
Josh, article talks about what you talk about every single podcast, which is FOMO amongst the states. And this little town of Ontario, Oregon, home of Ore-Ida tater tots, has more cannabis sales than Portland. And that's not because the town of 11,000 people buys a lot of cannabis. It's because people cross the border to buy cannabis because Idaho has said, oh, heck no, no cannabis in my state. And the good news for the city of Ontario is they get a whole bunch of tax revenue that, quite frankly, they don't know what to do with. But it also causes problems for the citizens that live in Ontario, Oregon, because of the backup of traffic and just the town itself is not geared to handle an attraction such as cannabis. And that's really what this article is talking about, Josh, which is what you say every podcast.
Yeah. Well, and it's people going over to Idaho for tax-free stuff in general. So it's already been a cultural thing for people in Idaho to go to Walmart or Home Depot. Especially if you don't have to pay tax on a 2x4 these days, you might save like $1,000. But with cannabis, I mean, if you don't have to pay 37% tax for some, whatever stupid price we've got in Washington these days, why wouldn't you cross the border, take advantage of that? But I don't think in this case, FOMO is going to do anything for Idaho. I think they're cemented in their views, and they're definitely going to wait until it's federally legal. That's my opinion. I just don't think that they're in a position like Kentucky where their pension plan is so hurt. And plus, how many dozens of people live in Idaho? It's not a massive state where there's a ton of people that live there and can rise up and say, we demand cannabis to be legal. It's not a huge state, and there's not many people who care. And I'm sure there's a illicit market that thrives in any other town like Boise. But those that do want the convenience are definitely crossing the border and buying it to the tune of 1,600 unique trips per day to big box stores to buy stuff. And I think cannabis is just one of those stops. So makes sense to me.
Yeah, and it's not just Idaho and Oregon experiencing this, Josh. It's many other states where you have legalization in one state and prohibition in the other. And we've seen this before with alcohol and other things along those lines, but it just really shows the amount of demand that there is for legalized cannabis, because these people that live in Idaho could grow it in their basement or could buy it on the corner at the Quickie Mart. Instead, they are choosing the regulated market to make sure that they're getting what they're paying for, and with the pesticide testing, with the child safe packaging, and with the uh, full faith and credit that somebody in the soup, some regulator in the soup, has deemed this product to be safe. And that alone shows the importance of a regulated cannabis market, that people are willing to drive for hours to another state and forego John on the street corner to be able to buy regulated cannabis.
Mhm. Yeah, they're doing it at the tune of $92 million in Ontario, Oregon last year in 2020. So to put that into perspective, $2,857 for every resident in Ontario, compared to Portland only selling $378 to every resident in 2020. So definitely a massive influx of people wanting it, just not demanding it from their legislator, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, nobody wants to be called out for it in a very conservative state like Idaho. It's gonna
But
be
it's
legalized
also,
eventually.
yeah, they will eventually once it's federal. But it also shows you the impact. Ontario, Oregon, nobody ever knew that Ontario, Oregon existed before this article, well, unless you lived in Idaho. But nobody even knew it existed. But what a case study
Yeah.
of what it has done. Having, I think the article explains there's 4 dispensaries in Ontario, and what those 4 dispensaries have done, the jobs that it created for Ontario, the tax revenue that it created for Ontario, and of course the associated traffic burdens, which they talk about quite lengthily in this article. But what the impact of just 4 dispensaries has done for this town. And hopefully every kid in school gets a new computer, and they turn it around like they did in Colorado.
Yeah. I'm interested to see the border towns of eastern New Mexico and West Texas, and see if that happens there as well, because just in the last 5 months alone, we've seen New York, Virginia, New Mexico, New Jersey, Arizona, Montana, South Dakota all legalizing cannabis. So that's a lot of markets to open up, and that whole border with Texas is not going to be an isolated incident where no one crosses over and buys cannabis. They're going to follow the repeated patterns that we've seen time and time again, until Texas decides that they want some of that revenue as well. Just a matter of time.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And then one last comment, Josh. Idaho legalized hemp in accordance with the USDA Farm Bill. The U.S. Farm Bill implemented by the USDA. Idaho legalized hemp last week.
Oh, congratulations for them for catching up to the federal laws. Congratulations, Idaho. Yeah. All
Being
right.
dead last.
Jesus. All right. Well, what a perfect opportunity to wrap this one up. We're going to roll this one up. I want to thank my guest, Katrina Gogowski, angel investor and attorney. Thanks for being back on the Talking Hedge.
Thanks, Josh.
I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out. Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.